So today we're going to be talking about goal setting and personal development and how this is important to you as an undergraduate, as a young professional, or wherever you find yourself right now. I think it's important across different stages of your life. And we would, as we talk about the importance of goal setting, to establish why you need to be setting goals in the first place, I'll take you through the process of setting goals, how this plays a role in your personal development, and we'll talk about some strategies for success, after which I'll take any questions or things we want to discuss. So please just note down your questions or feel free to drop them in the chat as we go along so that you don't forget. Firstly, we need to establish why goal setting is important, because if you do not believe that it is important or you do not know why it is important, then you have no motivation to actually sit down and create effective goals which are going to help you to develop yourself personally. Goal setting provides us with the direction and focus we need to develop ourselves. So it helps us to know what we want to achieve and how are we going to achieve this. And it means that we're not just trying to do too many things at the same time. We have a streamlined focus, and then we can target our efforts into achieving these goals. Secondly, it enhances our performance and motivation. I'm sure many of us have seen that when we have like a to-do list, for instance, for a day where we can actually physically tick off things, it's easier for us to want to tick those things off, because just even just for that small gratification of actually marking it as done. So when we have a set amount of things that we want to achieve and we know we've laid out how we want to achieve them, it means that we're more motivated to achieve them. Goal setting also helps us to measure our progress. It's easy to say, oh, I'm growing, I am becoming a better accountant, or I'm becoming a better media personality. But if you do not have goals that have been set out that are measurable as well, it's hard for you to say objectively that you have actually progressed, you have actually become better. Lastly, goal setting helps us to create accountability. Later on in the presentation, we'll be talking about why accountability is important. But it's really important for you to stay accountable to yourself and to be accountable to others. But it's difficult for anyone to hold you accountable or for you to hold yourself accountable if you do not have goals which are already set and they are readily available to you and anybody else who's holding you accountable. So now that we've talked about why it's important to create goals or to set goals, we'll be talking about how to set these goals. So I'm sure a lot of us have heard about SMART goals, and these are characteristics of effective goals, and it goes by the acronym SMART, which we'll go through now. Firstly, your goal needs to be specific. So clearly define your goal, set out what it is you want to achieve, and let it not be vague, let it not be ambiguous, let it not just be a fantasy or a dream. It can be inspired by your dreams, but it needs to be very specific. And we'll go through an example after this of a SMART goal, which I think might be relevant to many of us here. Secondly, your goal needs to be measurable. You need to be able to quantify success. You need to be able to say, this is what success looks like. Because if you do not have a picture of what success looks like, then it's hard to know when you've actually achieved success in that particular area. Your goal also needs to be achievable. It needs to be realistic. You cannot set a goal that is impossible for you to achieve. I'm Christian, so I think and I believe all things are possible with God, and nothing is impossible with Him. But we need to also be realistic. For instance, it would have been a bit unrealistic for me as an undergraduate to set a goal to achieve an income of, I don't know, £50,000 before the year ends. Where am I going to get the money from? Am I going to take a gun and steal? I don't know. Considering that I was not doing any business at that point that was going to bring in such income, or I did not have any full-time job alongside my studies that was going to bring in such income, it would have been a very unrealistic goal for me to set, say, in 2017 while I was a student. But I can set that goal now because I actually have skills that can bring me, in fact, more than that. I actually have the time because I'm not tied down by any other full-time studies or anything like that. So you need to set realistic goals that are actually achievable, that will not make you demotivated or make you lose hope because they're just beyond you. You also need to make sure that your goals are relevant, they align with your values and your priorities. For instance, it would be it would be dishonest of me to myself to set a goal that involves me lying or that involves me stealing when I have said, oh, I am a Christian, and there are certain values that I hold dear to myself, like integrity and honesty. So I need to make sure that my goals are relevant, and I need to make sure that they're relevant to where I want to be. So if I'm saying, oh, I want to have a world-class non-profit organization by year 2040 or 2030 or wherever, I need to make sure that the goals I'm setting align with that broader vision that I have for myself. Lastly, I need to make sure that my goals are time-bound. So set deadlines. Do not allow your goals to be open-ended. Don't just say, I want to learn how to be a better public speaker. By when? When do you want us to actually hold you to that goal that you have set for yourself? So now we would use a practical example to go through this acronym that we have established, the SMART acronym. I think one thing that's very relevant to us right now as young professionals or as students is public speaking. Everyone needs to know how to give a speech in public or to a group of people, whether that's a small group or a larger group. And this is personally a goal I have set for myself in the past year as well, to improve my public speaking skills and enhance my professional communication. So how do I make this specific? I'm saying I want to improve my public speaking skills. I want to be able to deliver presentations confidently and effectively at work. I'm making it specific by saying I want to do this at work. I'm not just saying I want to do this. I want to learn how to be a better public speaker. But I'm saying I'm going to start by public speaking at work. And how do I want to do this? I want to make sure that I'm confident. So you can see that with those adjectives, I have specified exactly what I want to do. I haven't just said I want to improve public speaking and full stop. Secondly, I've made this measurable by saying that to achieve this goal, I will practice giving one presentation per month, and I will seek feedback from my colleagues and mentors. If you're not working, this can look like, oh, I would give one presentation per month, but to my society or to my club or whatever other commitments you have outside of work or outside of school. And I've also said that it will be measurable by me being able to seek feedback from my colleagues, from my mentors, from my peers, whoever that might be that's around you. This is achievable for me because I already have the opportunities to do this in my day-to-day, and I'm going to push myself out of my comfort zone by attending a public speaking workshop or by joining a Toastmasters club. I don't know how many of us have heard about Toastmasters, but I know they're a global organization and they have different branches in different places. So if public speaking is actually something you want to develop this next year, I suggest that you look for the closest Toastmasters club around you, or you might even have another avenue for public speaking that's not exactly Toastmasters, whether that is, like I said, your church, another society or club in school, or a group at work. And so I've said this is achievable because I'm going to join this Toastmasters club and I'm going to practice regularly within the next 3 months. It's relevant to me because, like I said, it aligns with my career goals. If I want to be going to global forums, speaking about social enterprise, speaking about education, then I need to know how to be a good public speaker, isn't it? So it aligns with my bigger overall vision for myself and what I think my purpose is. Lastly, it's time bound. So I feel confident that I'm going to be able to meet this goal within the next 6 months by the steps I have outlined previously, whether by joining the Toastmasters Club or by joining workshops. So I hope this has served as a good example for us to achieve and set SMART goals. Of course, you can then extrapolate this and use this in various areas of your life. So we're moving on to tips for goal setting. Just like I was saying, consider different areas of your life, organize your life into areas, whether that is your family life, your finances, faith, fitness, fun, and you can set goals in these different areas. They don't have to be so deep. Just make sure that you're following the SMART acronym so that your goals are actually effective. But feel free to set goals in different areas of your life, whether that's how you want to increase your finances, increase your net worth, whether that's how you want to be a more healthy and fit person in 2025, or whether you want to draw closer to God. But how? You can't just say you want to draw closer to God. Are you going to be reading your Bible every day? Are you going to be going for more services? Are you going to serve in the workforce? Or whether that's just something fun like, oh, I want to learn a new hobby. How are you going to learn a new hobby? And what hobby are you going to learn? So you see that you can apply this to different areas of your life. And I do encourage us to not just set professional goals, but also set goals for different areas of our life so that we're balanced individuals. We're not just work junkies. Secondly, I encourage us to prepare for obstacles, prepare for the challenges you think you're going to encounter as you set this goal. So already think about it. You might know that, oh, if I set a public speaking goal and I'm going to have the challenge of being shy, but what am I going to tell myself when I'm shy? Whether that's an affirmation or a mantra that you want to stick with, think about it. So think about the challenges you're going to face, but also begin to problem solve and brainstorm solutions to those challenges so that when you encounter them, they're not new, they're not going to throw you off balance, they're not going to stop you from achieving your goal, but you already have solutions that you're going to implement and continue to strive for your goal. Thirdly, I want us to avoid comparison even as we set our goals for next year and beyond. It's very easy to fall into the trap of comparison, comparing yourself to your peers. But I'm sure we all know that, especially after secondary school, we are all running different races. It's easy to say, oh, like when you're in primary school, secondary school, yes, everybody just moves to the next class. But after secondary school, some of us have gap years, some of us start school immediately, some of us finish before others. Everybody's just running a different race. So I want to encourage us not to compare ourselves. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is the previous version of yourself. I should only compare myself today to or yesterday. I should not compare myself to anybody else because everyone is going through different life situations. And it's important that when you set these goals, you continue to monitor progress. So don't just set your goals now and look at them again the 1st January 2025 and leave them till December 2025. No, I would encourage us to continuously monitor our progress. Of course, you don't need to look at wherever you set these goals every single day. No, that's a bit overboard. But maybe every month or at the end of every quarter, so that you can actually see how you're progressing towards these goals, whether you need to reevaluate them, whether you need to tweak some things, whether you need to shelve some and put them for the next year, whether you even accomplished your goals already, so you need to create new ones for this year because you just have more capacity. Lastly, reward yourself. It's important that you celebrate yourself and you celebrate your success and your milestones so that you're also encouraged to do more things. So as you set the goals, you can also attach a little reward to each of your goals. For instance, when I achieve my public speaking goal, I am going to take myself out for lunch. Or when I achieve my goal to increase my finances by X amount, I'm going to buy myself a nice bag. Like, let's be realistic, obviously. Don't break your bank's accounts trying to reward yourself. It doesn't have to even be something monetary. It can be, oh, I'm going to create time to spend to have fun with my friends. So those are our goals for our tips for goal setting. Now that we talked about goal setting, we're going to move on to how this actually helps us with personal development. So what is personal development? I'm sure we've heard about this, but sometimes even before I created this, I was like, okay, personal development, what will I really say personal development is? But personal development refers to the continuous improvement in your skills, in your mindset, in your habits, through various means and across different areas of your life. And why is it important for us to develop ourselves personally? Because it means that we are making a better tomorrow for ourselves. So I'm creating a better Ore for 2025. I'm bridging the gap between this 2024 Ore and the current skills that she has and the more successful 2025 Ore that I want. It's also going to help me to build resilience and to become adaptable, because we always have to continuously grow. And to continuously grow, it means that we have to adapt to our current situations, and we have to build that mindset of adaptability to help us even when new things come along. So I'm going to discuss 10 strategies for personal development. They might not all appeal to you. They might not all be applicable to you because you might already be doing some of them, but just take out whatever it is that applies to you right now. Firstly is self-awareness. Before you say you want to develop yourself, it's important to know where you are, what what's your life currently looks like, what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths, what are the opportunities available to you, what are the threats that apply to your current strengths. So do a SWOT analysis on yourself. Essentially, I'm sure that we might have done SWOT analysis for our businesses or for other or different opportunities, but sometimes it's necessary to do a SWOT analysis on yourself. Take some time out and just reflect and think about what your strengths and weaknesses are, how you want to hone your strengths, how you want to reduce these weaknesses or adapt them to help you better. Secondly, it's important to adopt a growth mindset. So when I say growth mindset, what do I mean? I mean that you need to be ready to learn from every opportunity that presents itself to you, your failures, your wins, and you need to be willing to be resilient. It's easy to just say, oh, I'm going to set X amount of goals in 2025, but then when I start facing difficulties in the goals, then I want to give up, or I just say, you know what, New Year's resolutions are just a myth anyways. Next year we move. But you need to have resilience, whether you're building that through always reminding yourself of your bigger vision or purpose, which I encourage each of us to do. Like sit down and actually think, what is my life about? What do I want to achieve in this life? What do I want to be remembered for? What is the legacy I want to leave? Personally, I advise us to do that because your goals need to fit into the bigger picture that you have for your life. Like as a Christian, I think regularly about what is my purpose and am I fulfilling that purpose? Is my work fulfilling that purpose? Is my family life fulfilling that purpose? Are my relationships fulfilling that purpose? The different areas of my life have to all be coming together to fulfill that purpose. And anything that is not fulfilling that purpose is not actually relevant. So you also need to establish what are the habits that you currently have. What habits do you need to break? And how do you need to develop discipline in your life so that you build consistent routines and you build effective habits? Some of us might have heard about this book called Atomic Habits, which is a really good read. If, for instance, one of your goals is reading more books in 2025, add that to your list. But everybody has habits. Like you don't need to have read Atomic Habits to build habits. Everybody has habits. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Some of us have the habit of picking our phone every morning. While some of us are better than others and have the habit of praying every morning, for instance. Some of us drink water while we eat. That's a habit. Some of us, water is not in sight while we're eating. So no matter how serious or not serious habits are, you have habits. And you have consciously or unconsciously developed those habits. But I want you to take a step during this time to actually decide that you are going to be disciplined and you are going to build certain habits, whether that is regularly checking your goals, whether that is exercising, because you need a sound mind and a sound body to actually achieve some of the professional goals you set up for yourself, some of the financial goals you set for yourself. You can't do that while you're sick. So you need discipline to building those things into your routine. Another thing I'll be talking about that's necessary for personal development, and I know that the next speaker is going to speak more about, so I wouldn't talk too much about it. This is networking and mentorship. Networking and mentorship is so valuable, especially in your professional life. But even aside from your professional life, you need mentors in different areas of your life. You need spiritual mentors. You need mentors if you've decided that you have goals that you want to set for your fitness. And you need networking because no man is really an island. You need people to do these things with. And while networking might seem like a big word or like a very scary word, most of our friends, we've actually networked to make them. It's just that you are not thinking about it like that. But anyways, I will leave networking for the networking professional to talk to us about. I would also say that another strategy for personal development is, like I said, prioritizing your mental and physical well-being, seek balance. While I say set goals and you want to set your targets for the year as a marketing professional, like my sister here, you want to say, oh yes, you're going to do X, Y, Z number of activations, of brand deals this year. It's important that while you're burning the midnight candle to do this and staying up till 12 a.m. or whatever time, you continue to seek balance by taking care of yourself properly, eating healthy, exercising, taking care of your mind properly. So whether that is through prayer, whether that is through meditation, whether that is through journaling, whether that is just through taking regular breaks. In this generation, there's just so much around like mental health. There's so many people suffering from depression, from anxiety. So it is even more important for us to make sure that we're prioritizing our mental and physical well-being, because I'm sure we've realized that once we are feeling down, once we are sick physically, or once we are just feeling, I won't say depressed, but feeling anxious, feeling scared, it's difficult for us to actually think about anything. All that we're thinking about at that point is, oh, I can't do this, or I'm tired, or I don't even want to do this anymore, or any other negative thoughts that usually come to mind when we feel tired. So it's important for us to create avenues for energizing ourselves and seek balance in our lives. I will go on to the next 5 strategies that I think are important for personal development. And one is staying adaptable in a changing world. In the generation we live in right now, thanks to technology, things are changing very quickly. I'm sure this year most of us have heard about AI. Imagine if you're stuck in like the year where Facebook became popular and you don't even know how to use ChatGPT. I don't expect anybody here not to know how to use ChatGPT or any other AI, at least one sort of Gen AI tool. Like, it's so important right now, regardless of whether you work in tech or not, and it makes your life, quite frankly, so much easier. So you have no excuse for not being able to use this tool. So stay adaptable, whatever industry you're in. Keep learning what the trends are, and keep discussing with your peers, your colleagues, learning what the trends are, and actually developing yourself in line with the trends in your sector. You also need to, as you're developing yourself in line with current trends, keep building skills. Like, you can't say, like, the skills I built to get this job are the skills I'm going to maintain, and I don't need any other new skills. No, because the world continues to adapt, I promise you that there are new skills for you to pick up as well. So set out ways to learn these new skills. If you're a student, if you don't have access to many resources, there's so many free things online. There's so many talks like this. There's so many free webinars. There's so many free courses. Yes, they might not give you as much of an in-depth view into that thing you want to learn. For instance, if you say, oh, I've heard about Excel, I've heard about how it can help me with my finances, I've heard about how it can help me with my job to track things, I want to learn Excel. You might not become a pro by any of the free courses, but as you try some of them and as you practice, you're going to develop yourself in Excel. You also need to know what skills to build. You need to identify growth areas, like I talked about before. You need to identify what your strengths and weaknesses are, and then, okay, you're not going to sit down one day and say, I'm going to solve all my weaknesses, or I'm going to turn all my weaknesses to strengths. That's quite unrealistic. So identify your growth areas. Identify the ones you want to focus on this year in your different areas of life, whether that's in leadership, technical, interpersonal skills, and then begin to take up, whether it's free courses, talk to people who are skilled in those areas, put yourself out there, join webinars like Kalimi had said, go for conferences which are targeting the skills that you want to build. And just like the next point is, never think that you are done learning. Leverage books, courses, resources, and continue to learn. Lastly, practice reflection and feedback. You can do this whether by journaling, whether by asking your peers for feedback, or by going to your mentors, scheduling regular chats. Yes, I know that a lot of us might have mentors that are even informal, but I encourage you this year to step out and actually talk to the people who you see as mentors and say, oh, I want to just have a touch point with you once in every 6 months or once every year to go through my goals, to tell you about how I'm working towards achieving them. I want you to hold me accountable for them. And aside from just doing this with your peers or with your mentors, make sure you're doing it personally. Like I said, review your goals regularly, practice reflection, tell yourself, oh, this is what I've done well done, or you've done X, Y, Z well, oh, but this is what you need to do better, so that you're not just living life on vibes. So now that we have talked about some strategies for personal development, like I said earlier on, I think it's important to identify what challenges you're going to face as you go on this journey of personal development, or as you set your goals for 2025. And also, just like I have done here, begin to problem solve for those challenges. Do not wait for the challenges to occur. Of course, there are some challenges that might come that you have not even envisioned at all, you have not even thought about. But as far as you can think about, outline them and provide solutions, that provide what you think will be solutions to them. When the challenges come, the solutions might look different. But for now, as far as you know, suggest things that you think will be solutions to them when you come out. So one challenge I think we might face as we set our goals this year and as we aim to develop ourselves personally is procrastination. Say, I'm going to do this tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, I'm going to do this next week. To solve this, I encourage us to break our goals into smaller tasks. So you have your overarching goal of, oh yes, public speaking. But how am I actually going to meet this goal of public speaking? Maybe first, I need to choose an area that I'm passionate about speaking. Then after choosing the area, I need to research into that area. But I'm not just going to say research into, for instance, I'm quite passionate about education and bridging the education gap, especially for students from low-income communities. I'm not going to say, yes, I'm going to speak about this and that's it. I'm going to build it in and break it into smaller tasks. Like, for instance, I'm going to pick a sample community and research into their education outcomes. And I'm not going to say, oh, I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to do this on the 31st of December, for instance. I know that would be, I'll just go by 31st December and I wouldn't do anything. Personally, once it's more than 30 minutes or 1 hour of focusing on one task, I just get distracted and bored. And so you can implement something like the Pomodoro technique, and I encourage us to look at it more closely if that's something you're interested in. So break your focus sessions into like 25 minutes, and after every 25 minutes, take 5 minutes breaks. After you've done that 3 times, so 3 Pomodoros, then take a longer break of like 30 minutes. So each time you are going into a session of focus, you are not thinking about, oh my gosh, I have this huge thing I need to do today. You're just thinking, in this next 25 minutes, this is what I want to achieve. That way, you are not overwhelmed by the bigger goal. Secondly, is the fear of failure. So many of us don't want to do things because we are scared that we're going to fail. There's no need to be scared, but if you need some logical things to tell yourself why you shouldn't be scared, then start with low risk goals. Start with something that nobody else is going to. Start with something that's private, for instance, that's not a public goal. So like, for instance, with public speaking, you can say, oh my gosh, this is too high stakes. This is quite public, as the name implies. So I'm going to start with a lower risk goal, such as researching into what I'm passionate about. I don't need to present the research right now. You're just telling yourself that, okay, I just want to have some research in this area. So I've given myself a lower risk goal within that bigger goal that is public speaking. And so if I don't succeed at that, I know that I'm not too scared. But of course, you shouldn't start out with that. You should endeavor to achieve those goals. But if you need to tell yourself that you're going to do something that's lower risk to achieve the bigger goal, then wonderful. Thirdly, another challenge that I think we might encounter is overwhelming responsibilities. For instance, you might have set your goal at the beginning of the year, and different things just come into play as the year goes by that you have not even planned for. You need to be able to review your goals. And you need to be able to prioritize. You can use the Eisenhower matrix, which is basically a matrix that involves 4 quadrants where you divide your goals or your tasks into urgent versus important. So you have things that are urgent and important, definitely prioritize those. You have things that are urgent but not important, and you have things that are important but not urgent. And then you have some things that are not important and they are not urgent. You don't even need to look at those tasks at all. So divide the different tasks and goals that you have into those different 4 categories, and you can look at the quadrants after this to see an example. And then you start obviously by prioritizing the things that are urgent and important. That way you don't get overwhelmed. You just focus on one bucket, and when you're done with that, you move on to the next. And obviously, as time goes along, some things can move from, let's say you have a deadline in March. In January, it might not be urgent, but it's important. But by the time you get to the beginning of March, it has become both important and urgent. So you see how these things can change. So you need to continue adapting as you go along. You also need to be able to avoid external distractions, which is that's a huge challenge these days, especially with social media at the tips of our fingers. Like, we have so many distractions on our phones. So you need to be able to say, I'm going to put away my phone. You can use different apps. You can make sure that your work environment is free from distractions. Like, you can keep your phone in another room. You can put off your phone. Some people put off their data. I know that when I was a student, I used to use this app. I don't remember what it's called now. I think it's Focus or something, where it locks your phone basically, and it gives you like rewards or something, like while you don't use your phone. Whatever it is, whether it's giving your phone to your friend, whatever it takes to avoid distractions. And some people's distractions are not even their phone. Some people's distractions are food. If your distraction is food, there's no reason why you should have snacks on your table while you're working, or while you're trying to meet any of your goals. Whatever your distraction is, try to avoid it before you start focusing on your goal. And lastly, burnout. While I have spoken so much about the goals you should set and how you need to develop yourself personally, it's very easy for you to go away from this call today and think, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. I don't even know where to start from. That's not what this call is meant for. And even across the year, as you start, especially towards the end of the year, so many people experience burnouts because they're just going. But no, remember to schedule in regular breaks. Remember to prioritize rest. Remember to prioritize other fun things that you do as well, or that you like, or other hobbies, whether that is going to the gym or swimming or going to the movies or seeing a movie or whatever it is. Just to make sure that there's a balance, that you're not spending all your time watching Netflix, but you have, if Netflix is something that you like, you have an hour or two every weekend to watch Netflix. You're not saying, oh, no, I'm not going to watch Netflix to the end of the year till I finished all my goals. No, you're just going to burn out and you won't end up achieving any of your goals at all. So now that we have talked about how to develop ourselves personally, some of the challenges that we might encounter, and how to solve for these challenges when they come across, we are coming to the end of the presentation. And here are a few things I want you to take away from this presentation. If you've just heard me blabbing, and you're not even sure what I've said, start small, set some smart goals today. Even if it's one goal you manage to set today in one area of your life, focus on that and set it. Try and set a few more before the year ends. But even if January 1st comes and you haven't set your goals yet, don't feel like you need to wait for January 1st, 2026. Please, no. Even if it is June, sit down and set a few goals that are applicable to the current phase of life that you are in. Commit to learning and growth. Don't be scared of failure. Don't be scared of opportunities that are outside of your comfort zone. It is only in those times that we are able to really stretch ourselves and grow. Continue learning, like never stop learning. Don't think you can learn from certain people who are junior to you, whether that's at work or whether that's by age. Learn from every opportunity that you possibly can and continue to track your progress so that you can see how you're measuring up to these goals that you have set. You can see where you need to change this and adapt this even before the year ends, and adjust your strategies as needed. I hope I have been able to inspire us with a few techniques that we can take into developing ourselves personally this year. In conclusion, our goals give us direction, and personal development provides us with the tools to achieve these goals. Now, I'm happy to take any questions that we have. I think we still have 5 more minutes.
Yes, we do. Thank you so much, Ore. Thank you so much for this session. I can see all the claps and feedbacks from the chat box. Yes, thank you so much. Please, if you have any question, you can just unmute your mic or type it in the chat box so that